I will tilt. I will wobble. I will even fall down. But nothing takes me off my center. I am very clear on who the fuck I am. I don't know what anybody could do or say to make me say, maybe I'm just a mediocrest bitch in the room. Oh, no, sweetheart. I am and I will always be the baddest bitch in the room.
I just want to say that I'm really honored that you are here and you're willing to do this. So thank you so much.
I am so grateful to be here. I am humbled. I am honored. I can't stand fashion, but I do love style. Style is so deeply personal. With the advent of social media, the homogeneity is so, for me, problematic. Everybody is dressing the same. Everybody is getting the same work done to look the same. And I'm never going to hate the player. It's always about the game. It's about a system that tries to squeeze us through this very, very narrow funnel, and everybody has to look the same way. So I deeply appreciate this series that celebrates a wide swath of humanity, even as we strip our layers, right? Even as we peel back this onion. We are still, in essence, the same person.
How are you feeling right now?
Loved, seen, restricted, heard, safe. Being seen is an essential part of being human. And erasure is real. I am a 60-year-old woman of color. I stopped existing a long fucking time ago, which is also part of why I have this style. You may not like what you see, but you will see me, motherfucker. I'm also an Asian woman in this country, which means that I have been followed by the model minority myth, so I'm expected to be quiet and submissive and politically pliable. Everything that we've been told to just, please don't be so loud. Just turn the volume down. And I refuse to dim my light, dull my shine, mute my volume, shrink my essence to make anybody else feel comfortable. I don't care if you like how I dress. I don't care if you think I'm pretty. The only thing I care about is that you see me and you acknowledge me. If you don't see somebody as human, if you see them as an object, you can brutalize those people. That's a huge part of the mission of the work that I'm doing, is to encourage women to give themselves permission to be powerful. We apologize so much. We caveat our statements so much. This might sound crazy. This might sound silly. You might think I'm stupid. Don't caveat your statements. Just say it. Because the second you say that, you already diminish the potency of it.
Okay, so tell me about what your style says about you.
That I'm subversive, that I don't play into all of these stereotypes about Asian women. When I was a child, I got bullied. I was called a chink, a Jap, a gook. And where were you? In Vancouver. And it was made manifestly clear to me, you are other. Here is the center where we exist. There is the margin. Your place is there. I started speaking English and I rebelled against my culture. I didn't eat Korean food. I completely turned my nose up at all of that. I was essentially a yellow girl in a white world who desperately wanted to be white. But I quickly realized, I don't want to be that person. The person that's pushed out onto the margins, the person that is minimalized, the person that is diminished, the person that is erased, the person that is meant to be invisible. I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to be invisible. That's not who I am. I want to be at the center. I want to be heard. So I compensated. I knew, what do I have? My weapon. And I am smarter than most of you motherfuckers. And I have a great sense of humor. So my smart and my funny carried me a long way, and it was deeply empowering. I was teacher's pet. I was class clown. I did all of the social organizing. It wasn't a popularity contest. I don't want to be fucking prom queen. I don't need the fucking tiara and the big ass sash and a big bouquet of gaudy red roses. No, I just need you to acknowledge me as a single human being. How do I forge my identity? plant my flag and create my own space in a world that is telling me I don't deserve to do any of it, and I shouldn't want to do any of it. For me, my style absolutely became a shield and a weapon. And I moved to New York when I was 21, and I got a job in the music business working at Atlantic Records. I just had this sense that I wasn't really being taken seriously. I mean, here I am. I'm 21. I'm a pretty young, petite Asian girl with a beautiful, long mane of straight, black, shiny, thick, glossy hair. And the most clear representation of my Asianness that I could change was my hair. And so I got a pixie cut. I agonized over that decision. It felt really freeing. It felt really liberating. It also, paradoxically, gave me more confidence. Because I thought, if I shed this thing that is so much a part of a woman's beauty, and particularly an Asian woman's beauty, and I can still move through the world as I move through the world, well, that's a win, and I could. And while it was true that men certainly found me more attractive with it, it wasn't that important. Obviously, I have the same essence, the core, the soul, the brains, the mouth, the voice. I have all of that. So who cares? And I spent way less money and time on my hair. And then I shaved my head, which was even more liberating. I started training with my former Sifu, a Shaolin monk, in 1995, and he became my life partner and the father of my 2 children. And Buddhist monks, as we all know, and Buddhist nuns, they shave their heads. That was an easier decision to make, which is interesting. Going from long hair to a pixie was harder than going from a pixie to bald head.
What are assumptions that people make about you based on your appearance?
Because of what has been embedded in the American psyche about Asian women, that they don't assume that I'm powerful. She's going to be quiet, and she's going to be docile, and she's going to be submissive, and she's not going to raise her voice. But then when they see how I dress, maybe that's not true. What I am telegraphing is that I am very much the woman that will raise my voice. So I came up in hip-hop. I was the first Asian woman in hip-hop, and I am most closely associated with the rap supergroup Wu-Tang Clan. And as the RZA would say, my tongue is my sword. And I, Sophia Chang, have eviscerated many in my day. Oh, my sword is long and it is sharp. If I am talking to somebody, if I am confronting somebody, if I am negotiating with somebody, if I am in an adversarial position, you do not want to sit on the other side of the table as me. I was invited with Jizza to go to a big science gathering. It was brilliant. It was the first annual gathering of a bunch of scientists. It was at MIT, and we were all the way at the back, and we were back there with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and there must have been at least 150 people in the room. So I see how many folks of color, and I see how many women, and then I look at how many women of color are in there. And as you can imagine, a science gathering, it's really fucking male and it's really fucking white. And a lot of the conversation was around how can we popularize science? And then at the end of it, the person said, does anybody have any questions? And so I raised my hand, and now I'm at the very back of the room, so everybody has to turn around and look at me. And I said, I'm Sophia Chang. I'm really honored to be here. And I just have to say that I am shocked and dismayed by the lack of diversity in this room. And then the man said what so many people say in America when you talk about diversity. And he said, well, this room is probably about 55% men and 45% women. Now, if diversity to you means white women, that's not good enough for me. If Jizza, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I went out for a smoke, you would lose half your cohort of color. Years later, somebody reached out to me who was in that room, and he said, Sophia, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm one of the astrophysicists that you met at MIT. I was in that room when you made that bold statement. And in my own way, as a straight white male, I have channeled you. That is the influence that I want to have. I don't want you to fucking wear a dress like me. To give people permission and even the inspiration to speak on behalf of those who, number one, aren't even in the fucking room. That's amazing to me.
What would you say is your biggest insecurity?
My writing. It took me a long time to call myself a writer, an author. And my first agent, Mariah Spence, I would say, well, I'm not really a writer. And she would say, Sophia, I'm about to go into the market and sell your book. I cannot have you in the world saying that you're not a writer. I came up as a talent manager. I was around all of these really big, booming, wonderful personalities, and I always shunned the spotlight. I was like, ugh, why would I write a book? It's just a fucking exercise in narcissism. What, I'm going to talk about how cool my life is because I hung out with famous people? Who gives a shit? That's not important. And then I got a job working at Universal, and I took on a number of young women as my mentees who were about 22 years old, fresh out of college. I realized, oh, you are 50. You are a single mother of 2. You are a working professional. I can now be of service. And that was the flip of my perception that I needed to switch. So when I started mentoring these 22-year-old women from the record company, and I saw that there was so much that they still didn't understand, how could they? And I wish there were things that people had told me about financial literacy, fertility. Do you know how many women I know who at 40 years old in the music business woke up and went, we're so lucky to be here, especially in the music business. It's the sexiest business to be in, and everybody wants to be here. So you're going to work 12 hours, and you're going to work on the weekends, and you're just going to give up your whole personal life and forget fucking having a family. All of us men do it because we have wives that stay home, but you as a woman, no, you're going to have to defer that dream.
So how did you end up dealing with that and having kids?
I was partnered with somebody who was a huge personality, and everything was about him. And I helped build a cult of personality. I have agency in this. We center the man's experience, his job, his pleasure. Sex is over when he comes. Where's our orgasm? I don't know. And he was brilliant. He taught me the greatest spiritual lessons of my life. I do Kung Fu to this day. I've been doing Kung Fu for 30 years because of him. I will never diminish that. And in so doing, I became his partner. More than I was Sophia Chang, I was Sifu's wife. I helped with all of the homework. I went to every fucking parent-teacher conference. I was so involved. And I'm running the business, and I'm running his career, and I'm doing the PR, and I'm doing the marketing. I had the Magnolia Bakery cupcake recipe memorized. You think Yan Ning ever baked anything? No. Who researches the dentists and the doctors? Women. Who does the cooking, the cleaning, and the laundry? Yeah, in the typical heterosexual household. If men do this, and it's not nothing, then women do this. I got tired of it. This is the striptease. I was 42 when I left my ex. I swore I never need to have sex again. My libido was like, can we have a conversation about that? And I eventually started dating and fucking again. I dated this guy, and I remember the first time I got undressed and he saw what's underneath. And he said, wow, Sophia, you have a great body. Is he speaking Cyrillic? Like, what is this language? Oh, this is so strange. And this is not an indictment of my ex, but this is not how he spoke. And I realized that compliments are a huge part of how I want to be loved. And then after that, there's a whole decade of me kind of doing whatever I want. Look, I don't need to have kids again. I've got that milestone behind me. I don't need to get married. I don't give a shit about that either. The freedom in dating, without having to think about gene pool, sperm donor. I don't need somebody to help me pay my mortgage. I don't need somebody to give me an identity anymore. Wow, you mean, oh, heavens, I can date just for me and not have these considerations? Holy shit. Hollywood culture, fairy tales, Disney tells us love equals monogamy, monogamy equals marriage, therefore love equals marriage. This idea, it's respectability politics, right? And it is so about keeping us in this box. Mm-hmm. As far as I'm concerned, there's no box that can contain Sophia Chang. Fuck that. I'm not out here wanting women to curse like a sailor like I do, or dress like I do, or be as loud as I am, or any of that stuff. I simply want us to have the freedom to be whoever it is that we want to be, wherever we fall on that spectrum. White patriarchy in particular, says, we're going to tell you what the spectrum is. And it's not this. It's this. It is so important that we start thinking about our pleasure. And I do think it's political. It doesn't have to be about reaching these heights of emotional and spiritual ecstasy. It's amazing when it does. It can also just be great fucking. I remember meeting this guy once, and we were flirting. I said something like, I think you should just come and get into my bed. And he said, I couldn't do that. I was like, why not? He said, I respect you too much. And I said, you respect me too much? What kind of patriarchal, puritanical view is that? Mm-hmm. You'll respect me less if you fuck me? Fuck you. And as I got older and I realized, oh my God, I've dealt with sexism and racism my whole life. Oh, and now it's ageism. The world believes that the day we turn 40, we go, oh, it's my vagina. Let me just put it and lock it up in the vault because I never need to use it again. There is a study done by a woman named Elizabeth Brooke. They studied the desirability of cis heterosexual couples. At what age do you think that women are most desirable? It is 18, and the graph starts at 18. And at what age do you think men become the most desirable? 50. That is a 2.5x delta.
When do you feel the most vulnerable?
In love. You know, there's always the fear that love will be unrequited. And so to get to that point where you say, I really like you. I really enjoy spending time with you. Or I miss you. When I say that, whether it is on the phone or on a text, I am opening myself up and I am vulnerable because it is not necessarily guaranteed that the person on the other side will reciprocate. A very early conversation I have again with the prospective lover is, I am poly, I'm polyamorous. They usually are too. Tell me what the rules of that look like. What are the emotional rules of engagement? If you found that you started to have really strong feelings for me or I for you, would you be open to love and something bigger, or would you say no? And I've absolutely had men say, I'm not in that place, Sophia. Of course I'm disappointed. I like somebody, they don't like me back. But I do it early enough. I know people that let that shit go on for weeks, if not months, in this dance. I've done that in the past, in this dance of, does he like me? I'm not really sure. But I've also had men say, you know, well, if it doesn't work out in terms of dating, we could always be friends. And I'm always like, no, I have the dopest friends in the world. My village is unbeatable. It is peerless. That's not what's going to happen. It doesn't mean I don't want to be friends with my lovers, but if we're not going to be lovers, I have no interest in being friends. Booty, you're welcome.
When was the last time you cried?
When I saw my daughter and her boyfriend together, and he enveloped her in a way And she melted into him in a way that was so telling of how deeply they love each other and how connected they are and how happy they make each other. There have been studies about Gen Z that in some ways they are more sexually and socially conservative than we are. If I was 23, would I be poly? Oh, I doubt it. If I wanted to have a family, I don't know how I would do that in the framework of poly. I know it can be done. I know it can be very successful, but not for me. So at that age, I think she's still thinking about this one person, and they are pouring everything into each other, and I think that's gorgeous. Now, that doesn't mean my kids judge me. My children know exactly who I am, and they are proud of me, not because of what I do, but because I am so fearless about it. You cannot move me from my center. I will tilt. I will wobble. I will even fall down, but nothing takes me off my center. I am very clear on who the fuck I am. I don't know what anybody could do or say to make me say, maybe I'm just a mediocrest bitch in the room. Oh, no, sweetheart. I am and I will always be the baddest bitch in the room. And part of it is because I claim it, I own it, I know it, I hold it, I declare it. I can't tell you you're the baddest bitch in the room. Only you can tell you that you're the baddest bitch in the room.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
When I'm dancing. It's also when I feel the most powerful, and it's when I feel the most sexy. Music moves me inside. I have a deeply somatic response to music. I remember when I was 3, dancing on the sofa. 3. I have a memory of dancing. I have no idea what the song was, but I remember dancing. I will dance at Trader Joe's if they play Luther Vandross. I will put down my vanilla unsweetened oat milk and I will just start dancing. That's when I feel the most beautiful and the most free and the most sexy.
What is your biggest fear?
I am afraid about money. I don't have a job. I don't have a 401k. I don't have all of the health and benefits. I don't have the security of that. So I do get fearful around money. And a lot of how I deal with this fear and any other fears is I talk to my friends. I'm on the phone 2 to 3 hours a day with my friends. One of my mentors, Sophia Chang, God rest her soul, I remember I was in my early 20s and I was freaking out about some job that I really wanted, and I was really afraid that I wasn't going to get the job. And she said, Soph, if you don't get the job, are you going to die? And I said, no. She said, then you'll be fine. And that sounds harsh, and it sounds blunt, and she's right. And I think about that a lot.
Why in your body, in your skin, in your journey, why is it a good place to be?
In me is a good place to be, a beautiful place to be, an exquisite, divine place to be, because there is this journey. And I didn't skip any steps. Some of them are heartbreaking. Some of them don't make my life and my love and my soul and my heart soar. And I am stronger at 60 than I've ever been in my life. I am certainly more powerful at 60 than I've ever been in my life. I am more beautiful at 60 than I've ever been in my life. Yes, I grew up in the time in the 70s when we fucking put coconut oil on our faces and lay in the sun. So I have signs of sun stuff. I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to change it. This is what God gave me, and I honor my body because she has carried me through 60 years of living, of highs and lows and mids, of treble, of bass, and everything in between. And I love my life. I love where I am. I look at my children and I go, they are good-ass humans, Elisa. I raised 2 good-ass humans. Therefore, I am leaving this world a better place than I entered. Mm-hmm. And that is beautiful. I am self-analyzing. I am self-criticizing. I am self-interrogating. But, and the buts are important. I am self-adoring. And I am self-loving, because you need those things in balance. I can't just sit there all day and go, I love me, I love me, I love me. I also have to go, oh, but you fucked up, you fucked up, you fucked up. And when we can have those things in balance or alignment, that is greatness.